Martin Murray, Gennady Golovkin. Fight ends in the 11th round by a TKO in Gennady Golovkin's favour, as you may have guessed. Murray down twice in the 4th round, down again in the 10th round, stopped in the 11th round. Down twice in the 4th round through body shots on both occasions, in the 10th round from a shot to the head. In terms of my scorecard, I had Golovkin miles ahead. I gave Murray the 10th, I gave Murray the 8th. I thought there was some possible scope to give Murray the 1st, but I just sided with Golovkin. So I had Golovkin a long way ahead on the scorecards, especially if you consider that one of the rounds was 10-8, one of the rounds was 10-7, etc. Now, you have to give credit for Golovkin. In my opinion, this was his toughest opponent to date, and he dealt with it in extremely dominant fashion. But what did we actually learn? We knew Golovkin was a mega puncher. We knew he had power in both hands. We knew he had power to the body as well as to the head. We knew he was exceptional at cutting down the ring. And once again, all of those assets, all of those facets to his game were completely highlighted in this fight. It was a very small ring, which I think played hugely into Golovkin's favour. Very easy for him to cut down, very easy for him to push Martin Murray back against the ropes. And yeah, I think realistically, Golovkin performed exactly how we expected him to, given his previous fights, given his style of fighting. I had some issue with Martin Murray's tactics in this fight. It seemed to be, I mean, let me first touch on the referee. The referee, Louis Babon, was the same referee who refereed Vitaly Klitschko-Povetkin, the fight famous for his holding. And early on, sort of the tactics seemed to be catch Golovkin on the way in, and then when he gets you into the ropes, hold. And I wonder if they looked at the refereeing Klitschko and Povetkin and thought that would potentially be a good tactic to use against Golovkin. And in the first 2 or 3 rounds, it worked effectively. As I say, I could see an argument for giving Murray both rounds 1, and I think Golovkin definitely won the 3rd round, but I could see Murray certainly doing very well in the 3rd round. So that tactic started off working well. The problem is, as Murray started taking punishment, it became harder for him to tie Golovkin up. Golovkin became increasingly effective at avoiding the clinch and at sort of staying out of of Murray's holding tactics. So that kind of went away, and it seemed that their tactics then adapted to try and counterpunch off the ropes. Now, for me, this is where Team Murray went very wrong. I'm not saying that they could have beaten Golovkin either way. Golovkin looked to be the superior animal, but I thought it was a terrible idea to start counterpunching Golovkin against the ropes, off the ropes. You know, whilst Murray was having some effectiveness doing it, he was having to take far too much punishment coming back. Far too much punishment. And I just thought he'd have been more effective if he tried to put Gennady Golovkin on his back foot and if he used his superior size. And that was something that was evident. You know, at the weigh-in they looked to be similar build, but on the night Murray was clearly the bigger man. He'd clearly rehydrated, put on weight. He was much bigger. And there was one occasion in the whole fight, I counted one occasion, where Murray really used his superior size and strength and pushed Golovkin back, you know, walked him backwards. And he was able to land a few shots when he did that. So, for me, I thought the Murray tactics were very ineffective indeed. You know, trying to counterpunch off the ropes, it was allowing Golovkin to keep him where he wanted him. It was meaning Murray would have had to take far too much punishment. Having watched the fight, I think if they had their time again, they'd be better off trying to push him back, trying to put him on his back foot. We still don't know what Gennady Golovkin's back foot game is like, and you know, the one time Murray did it, it seemed to be effective indeed. You know, I made a note as I was watching the fight. Murray, he really needs to stay off the ropes. He's a bigger man. He's got more size. He should be trying to walk him back. Now, Gennady Golovkin, as I say, it's the best fighter he's been in with. He did very well, very dominant performance. I've got a few concerns that remain about him as a fighter before I completely buy into the hype of him being a pound for pound guy. We've already spoke about the fact that he hasn't fought the top tier middleweight division. Well, Murray's better than the guys he's fought before, so I have to give him a little bit of slack there. I'd still like to see him with the Peter Quillens, the Andy Lees of this world, etc. But I think there was a few slight issues I had with Gennady Golovkin. The first thing and this isn't a recurring issue with him, I just made a note of it and think it is something worth mentioning. Now, the second knockdown in the 4th round, the commentators didn't mention this, but the second knockdown in the 4th round, Gennady Golovkin clearly hits Martin Murray when Murray is down with a knee on the ground. Now, I'm not saying he should have been disqualified. I don't think he should have been. It looked like a very light cuffing shot. But he's got to be very, very careful. I noticed the first time he knocked Murray down, he chased Murray up like he was trying to land one more blow when it was clear Murray was already on his way down. And in the second time, he clearly hits Murray when Murray is on a knee. Now, I think that was very ill-advised. He was dominating that round. Second knockdown, he looked like he could have had Murray out of there. Why risk it? Why risk it? Why risk a DQ? Why risk a point deduction? You know, whatever. I think that was a big mistake from him. He's a huge puncher. If that punch had landed more cleanly, it would have been lights out, and it would have possibly been a DQ. You know, reminiscent of Andre Durrell after Abraham. I thought the commentators should have mentioned that. Second thing was defence. You know, I've had arguments. I've had comments with ridiculous, back and forth with some ridiculous commenters who've told me that GGG is the most elite defensive fighter out there, more capable defensive fighter than Floyd Mayweather. You know, the fact is he's never been hit, you know. And it's not that GGG is particularly elusive, it's that he's been knocking out his opponents so early he hasn't had to take any punishment. But today I had real issues with his defence. I mean, for a start, he was eating numerous Murray jabs. You know, Murray was able to land to his body pretty much every time he threw to his body. I thought GGG was very easy to hit as he was coming in. I think he leaves himself really open when he starts throwing, like we saw in the Daniel Gill fight. You know, as he was throwing his big haymakers, he leaves himself really open. As he rushes in, he leaves himself really open. You can counterpunch him. And even though I thought Murray had the wrong tactics, you know, he was having success counterpunching at times. There was times in the fight when the guys were up against the ropes, you know, a foot apart, fighting in close. And it seemed that from that kind of range, GGG had no defence whatsoever. I mean, Murray was hitting him with these short hooks, you know, right in front. You know, throwing punches that were hitting 6-9 inches away, you know, really not far. Really short, close-range punches. Seems Golovkin had absolutely no defence to him. You know, I think in round 9 or 10 it was, you know, at one point Murray lands sort of 6, 7, 8 hooks on the inside, like quite close range. So for me, Golovkin really needs to work on his defence if he's going to be an elite level fighter, especially if he's looking to move up to super middleweight. Because as I've said before, I think the guy's small for middleweight. Now, Al Bernstein in the commentary team made a number of comments about how good Gennady Golovkin's chin is. For me, Martin Murray is a light puncher. Look at his KO record. You know, he's not a guy who relies on his punching power. I'd have concerns about Gennady Golovkin's defence if he goes up against a Peter Quillen, if he goes up against a Lemieux, if he goes up against an Andy Lee. Because with such defensive frailties that I saw tonight, a huge puncher in the middleweight division like Lemieux, like Lee, like Quillen, I think could cause him problems. And then we'll really see how good his chin is. Maybe he's got an excellent chin. We don't know. It's an intangible. Maybe he's got an excellent back foot game. We don't know. It's intangible. What I can say is that Martin Murray was able to land numerous jabs, numerous combinations to his body. Martin Murray was able to counterpunch him. Martin Murray was regularly able to catch him as he came coming in. And I'd say Golovkin was very, very open. He leaves himself very open when he's throwing punches. For me, he's a presser fighter, he's an aggressive fighter, but he is not an elite level defensive fighter. He's not even a semi-elite level defensive fighter. For me, his defence is basic, and it's something he's going to need to improve upon as he faces the top of the middleweight division, and more importantly, as he faces the bigger men up at super middleweight. So I think he's small. All in all, good fight. Enjoyable, real good effort from Martin Murray, showed a lot of heart, a lot of steel. Golovkin completely dominant. I thought Murray's tactics were poor and played right into Golovkin's hands. Golovkin, we learned once again more proof that he's a massive puncher. You know, Murray's never been stopped before. Golovkin was able to drop him to the body, drop him with a headshot. Obviously the guy's a huge puncher. He's excellent at cutting down the ring. He's a superb presser fighter. In my opinion, he definitely is the number one middleweight. But I think there's other big fights I want to see him in. Quillen, Lemieux, Andy Lee, those are good fights. I'd like to see all of them. I'd like to see Hassan and Jickham. I was impressed by Golovkin tonight. I don't want to be too negative on him. I think he did very, very well. But I have defensive questions with him. I have back foot questions with him. And I'm yet to be convinced that he is a pound-for-pound top 10 fighter. I think there's a lot more work to do in cleaning out his own division first. Let me know your thoughts. Many thanks for watching.